So hi everyone, thanks again for joining us today, and thank you Zag for speaking. It's great to have you. So Zag Dutton, of 1995, started strictly in the permanent recruitment space and grew that to include contract and temporary hiring solutions. Today, they work primarily within the pharmaceutical healthcare industry as well as related manufacturing and logistics 3PL companies. Thanks again for speaking today, Zag, and good luck with your presentation.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day. I thought that I'd speak about some of the challenges that we've been having throughout COVID and the things that the industry has been going through. And I think that the things that the industry has been going through are really relevant to what our company clients are going through what our candidates are going through. Everybody's lived through a great deal of uncertainty. Hopefully we are seeing the end of it now. We are certainly getting to that point where everyone's getting their vaccination, and hopefully that will see an end to this particular kind of challenge that we've been having. But I wanted to talk specifically about what things have happened, how we've reacted to them, as well as how have some of the clients that we've been working with through the COVID situation for the last year and 3 months or so, and see how we see things managing to come out of that, and see what changes there might be coming up moving forward. So from our perspective, we had to pivot really quickly because one day we were in the office and the next day we had to move out of the office and move everything to virtual. And the biggest reason for that was because we always have a number of people coming to the door with or without appointments who expected to be met with and expected to have an interview, which is fair because we need to interview people before we're going to represent them, whether it be for permanent or for temporary roles. We need to have met with them in person because that is a part of our commitment. So it became as a little bit of a surprise that suddenly we were going to have to move everything to virtual. We had a lot of systems in place already. We were already using some video interviewing platforms because we were working with clients that were outside of Ontario where we're physically located. So if we were doing a search in Vancouver or in Quebec or in Manitoba, then we were having to do it virtually anyway. So we did have some systems in place. What we didn't have was a phone system that would allow for us to take everything virtually and make it as seamless as possible. So very quickly, we were able to purchase a new VoIP system, which, although pricey, has been a great solution because we can do video interviewing through that. We can also do regular phone calls through that. So that has been something that has allowed us to work seamlessly in that way. Anyone can answer their phones through an app wherever they are. So whether they have come into the office for a particular situation or they are working from home. My team has been working from home since last March, so we're all a little tired of that and looking forward to actually getting together. Some of us have had a chance recently to get together, and it was a great opportunity to put some feeling back into who we were and what we do and work together for a day in the office, although it's challenging because masks can be challenging. From our clients' perspectives, there's been a number of issues, some of them being connectivity issues when they're interviewing people. So they use several modes of communication, and we certainly do as well. But it's not always a two-way street in terms of being able to use the technology that is available. So not all candidates have the same capabilities. Some candidates are very virtual friendly, others are not. So we've had candidates whose internet connections have not been very good, or we've had candidates who just don't know how to present themselves in a video interview situation. So we've done a lot of coaching around that. And we've also had to do some coaching on the client side to make sure that they're prepared for some of the challenges that they will eventually meet with a variety of candidates, because some of our clients are recruiting not just for office office professionals, but they're also recruiting for general labor or for forklift, production staff, and all of those positions require a whole other level of interviewing, and it is more difficult for some than others in terms of being on camera. Let's face it, most of us are not comfortable on camera. Certainly, I'm not all that comfortable on camera because not all of us want to be movie stars. So it does pose a different challenge for sure. Some of our clients also had a lack of digital infrastructure. So a lot of them had to pivot very quickly and find a way to utilize technology to help them cope with the level of interviews that they were doing, which still had to go on. A lot of the industry that we support was essential service right through the pandemic, and as a result, they didn't have the option to stop operations. And in fact, some of the companies, some of our clients experienced a surge in requirements because of the pandemic situation. Some had the inability to share the company culture in a video interview. So it is very difficult when you're attending a video interview. You don't get to walk through the office. You don't get to walk from the front door, from the receptionist who will greet you, then take you into a meeting room. So you don't get to see the people along the way from the reception area to the meeting room. And you don't get that feel for what do people feel on a day-to-day basis in their situation. Are you walking through an office of people who look engaged and interact well together? And do they seem stressed, or do they seem fairly relaxed? Style of dress will tell you something about the culture of the organization. And these are things that are not always easy to allow people to see in an interview situation, because you can't have people walking in and out while you're in an interview on a video call. So it is very difficult. People are generally feel a great deal of discomfort when they are on a video, and this can be for both sides, both the client who is doing the interview as well as the candidate who is trying to put their best foot forward. That's just the nature of not really being a fan of being on camera all the time. It is also very difficult for companies and for candidates to pick up on all of the nonverbal and social cues. They're not so easily discernible. You cannot see the entire individual. So there may be things happening that will tell you that they're nervous or that they're not happy about something that you've said, because you can't see all of the pieces of them. You can't see if they have a foot that is tapping that may show that they're particularly nervous. So you don't know necessarily to take the time to put somebody at ease when you are doing an interview. So that makes it challenging. Then there is the next side of challenges, which is onboarding. So you've now interviewed a number of people, you've had various members of your team interview, or various levels of the organization take part in the interview, because video interviewing has also become the point of people interviewing more individuals within an organization to make sure that the reading that they're getting is accurate. So now you've made a hiring decision, the individual has accepted, congratulations, that's wonderful. Now you have to plan their onboarding. So onboarding brings up a whole new set of challenges, because now you cannot bring this person into the office. They are onboarding virtually, which means any paperwork, any onboarding material that you have sent them is at their home, and they're doing it on their own. There's very often, with the larger the organization, the more the onboarding paperwork, even before you start to talk about the culture and so on, people are having to do an awful lot of paperwork in order to be able to get it all done, in terms of benefits, in terms of payroll, enrollment, and so on. So there is an awful lot expected of them, and it is impossible for you to make them feel at home when they're already in their own home, but they're not in your home, being your organization. So you're not able to see any one person more than one person at a time. It's not as though you can give this person a mentor who will take them out to lunch on their first day, who will give them the lay of the land, who will show them where everything is in the organization. All of that is missing. Coordinating time between the manager and the new hire can be challenging because the manager, as everyone else in the organization, still has responsibilities that they need to carry out on a day-to-day basis. They're not going to stop, or they don't have the luxury of stopping in order to orient a new individual, because that is just not, it's not possible, it's not feasible. So they will try their very best to coordinate their time so that you have, as a candidate, very little downtime without somebody else being present and accounted for, either on the phone or in a video call. But it becomes very daunting, and it becomes very difficult to do that and keep somebody engaged all of the time, which means that there's a good chunk of every day in the beginning, in the first 1 or 2 weeks of a new person starting, there's a good chunk of that time that nobody is really actively engaged with this particular new hire. So it becomes very difficult to manage that process. Instilling the code of conduct and expectations, you can always put everything in writing, but that really emphasizes the lack of human contact, which again goes to virtual onboarding, which makes it very difficult. The lack of human connection, new hires do not get the opportunity to meet their coworkers by the water cooler and discuss what their plans were for that evening or that weekend. They don't get that flavor of talking to people and finding out what their interests are so that they can build relationships and move forward with their new team. So all of these pieces are truly challenges that most people have found to cause problems throughout this past year or so. And I think that there have been some very unique solutions to some of these. Some of our clients have come up with some very unique solutions. We've managed really to do a day-to-day. So this was something that I had never really done before, was asking everybody to put together a report at the end of every day of all of their activities, measuring specific metrics so that we know what they're doing, because people are not naturally all meant to work from home completely on their own. And so sometimes it's very difficult for some. Some will take to it like duck to water, but others will find it very difficult to actually manage their own time without having some sort of presence from the team to give them cues as to what's next. What are we coming up to? Some found employees, some of our clients would find employees doing their homework or for courses they were taking online. Others found they were shopping or playing video games. And this was all done because some major organizations were actually installing spyware into their teams' laptops so that they could see what they were doing, and they would take screen grabs periodically throughout the day just to see what the staff was doing. That's probably a little bit more autocratic than I would recommend, but when you're a large organization, you only have so many eyes, and I guess you have to do what is necessary. Overall, I think times like these highlight who we are as an organization and how we want to conduct ourselves in the workplace. And I like to think that when we hire somebody, no matter who we are, we hire them and we trust that they are going to be able to do the job once they've been trained. And we should be able to trust that they will carry out their responsibilities on a day-to-day basis. If you can't trust them, that's a whole other discussion altogether. I believe that you need to have expectations and make them clear with all the stakeholders. Put the expectations in writing. Have a daily activity report with metrics measuring what activity is most important to your company and what decisions you need to make based on what it is that you need to get out of that particular role. It is not a one size fits all. Your metrics will vary depending on what you need results in and how you're measuring those results. We use a group chat, a platform which really works well because it gives everybody the opportunity to see what's happening throughout the day with whatever it is that we're working on, and see what progress the other members of your team are making, what challenges they may be having, and how you can help each other out. So it really does. I find that the group chat platform has really been helpful in bringing everybody together and making sure that there's a strong sense of collaboration and team. Hopefully some of those hints will help you as well. It wasn't all bad throughout COVID, for sure. And hopefully, as I said before, we have come to an end. In speaking with some of our clients, we found some great wins that they found during this pandemic period. Some organizations found that they had previously employed a locally based workforce and realized that now they didn't have to, because now they felt comfortable with their team working from home, and they could see what their team could achieve and where their challenges were. And with a few minor tweaks, they discovered that they could now hire staff from outside of their local area who would be just as effective as if they had been in the office. And so this meant that it widened their area or rather their pool to hire from, which has been really helpful in some instances, because people are having a problem with finding enough talent in any particular area. As it has been pointed out before, there is definitely a challenge in finding enough talent, that there is a talent shortage in almost every sector. And if you can go outside of your own commutable area, then it makes it a little bit easier to find some additional talent that you may not have been able to take advantage of in the past. One decision maker that I've spoken to said that he even found communication issues with video interviews had an unexpected upside, that they could soften the delivery of critical feedback by acknowledging the difficulties posed by technology. So sometimes if you had to deliver a message that was not entirely positive, or you did not think was going to be well received, some of that could be softened by the use of technology. Personally, I did not experience that myself, so I'm just going to have to take her word for that. As Canada works hard to accelerate vaccines, businesses are opening up again. So now we're finding that people are finding ways to get together without necessarily always working from home, which has been certainly very helpful. And now the country is wondering, what next? What do we do next? So one of the things that I've spoken to many of my clients recently is, what are you going to do now that people have become so accustomed to working from home, and many of them have absolutely proven that they can do just as effective of a job working from home as they did when they were in the office? How will you move forward from here? There will be people, obviously, who will want to continue working from home, and that's a question that has to be absolutely addressed. And some of these clients are saying that they are actively looking at solutions for that, and potentially offering work from home situations where they can, depending on what the role is. And it's not known at this point whether it's going to be 1 day a week work from home, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or the whole week work from home, or maybe 1 week out of every month work from home, or 1 week out of every month be in the office. So I don't think anybody has finalized what that's going to look like in the end, but it certainly is something that people are looking at now, that they're considering. And this is something that has been truly foisted on us, because let's face it, before the pandemic arrived, we always heard about people talking about remote work and telecommuting and all of these things but we didn't really have an awful lot of companies that were buying into that, that were allowing it, that were comfortable with it. And now we've had to become comfortable with it in a very short time frame. So people have had to absolutely become comfortable with something that has only been for many years. And I think that had it not been for this pandemic, we likely would not have seen this much pivoting this quickly. I think work from home options probably would have happened in the next maybe 10, 15 years, certainly not as soon as it has happened. So in some ways, it has been good. In other ways, companies are saving rent on space that they may no longer need because they don't have to have as many people in the office. So it could be a good thing for a lot of organizations. But overall, I think that we've made our peace with it. We are now moving into discussing how to make it work for the future. And as many of you may have already heard, Statistics Canada has already run a study, and an overwhelming majority of people have said that they would want to work from home even once the pandemic is over. So that is all something that speaks loud and clear to the employers. And it also speaks loud and clear to the employees, because now they have an opportunity to prove that they can do it if they possibly can. And that way they may have that extra option. I hope that helps everybody. Any questions, feel free to send me a message, connect with me on LinkedIn, or send me an email. I'm always happy to chat.
Hi, Zach. I just want to jump back up. Thanks for your presentation. Really great. Lots of great information.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
I did have one quick question. If you could give like maybe one or two or even three takeaways that you want someone to get from your talk today.
I think it's probably of the takeaways, I think we really need to explore the option to give people choices moving forward, because I think that a lot of organizations, including recruitment agencies, will lose people if they cannot consider giving them at least part of the time to work from home if they have proven that they can work from home. I also think that resilience is a huge piece for every organization, whether it be an organization in manufacturing or a recruitment firm. I think you need to be able to understand that you need to pivot quickly. If we've learned anything through the pandemic, I think resilience is the thing that we need to take away from that. So we need to be able to pivot quickly and bounce back from whatever the negativity is. And I think a lot of organizations did manage to do that very successfully and very well. But there are some organizations that did not embrace it at all well. And there are some employees who did not do well at all in the current situation. Working from home became a struggle for them. And it's not always just about them. It could also be because of their situation. We had an awful lot of parents who were now home, who didn't have the home to themselves. So some people had the home to themselves, which is great, but others had children to look after who were now also staying home and learning virtually. They have elder parents that they were taking care of. So all of that added a lot of stress. And I think that that also will dictate how well someone can work from home. So the Statistics Canada study did say there were roughly 17% of the people who were surveyed who said that they did not want to work from home, and that they didn't specify why, but I would imagine that those other pieces, the other detractors from their focus, absolutely would have an effect on that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks again for that great presentation and for those takeaways too. Some really great information as well. And if people to get in touch with you, you recommended LinkedIn is the best way?
LinkedIn or directly through my email, zag@careerconnectionsinc.com.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for your presentation, Zag.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.